All right, welcome to the Sharp Mind Show, episode 39. I'm Nate, the Fit Future MD, your host. Be sure to shop at InstaSell.com, pick you up a cool, inspirational t shirt today. All right, so I was checking out the Nelk Boys podcast the other day, and they had Skip Bayless on. And, as you know, I grew up playing sports, football, basketball, and baseball. So, you know, ESPN came out with, it was called Cold Pizza back in the day, and it had Woody Page and Skip Bayless on it. Well, Skip Bayless is obviously being interviewed here by the Nelk Boys, and um, he basically goes on to say that he has LeBron James as ninth on his all-time list of greatest NBA players. So it got me thinking, number one, who would be on my top 10 list? And then number two, got me thinking how crazy, is Skip Bayless crazy or is he not crazy, right? So, in short here, who is the greatest NBA player of all time? Number one to me is Michael Jordan, right? I feel like not only with his changes, to the game on the court, fundamentals on the court, athletic ability, and killer instinct. He's basically, to me, I grew up, basically in the, you know, late 90s, 2000s era, right? So um, seeing all of these people play, seeing most of these people play, I have to say that Jordan is a head and shoulders above all of them, right? It's the way he played the game. It was effortless. Um, it flowed, right? Like it wasn't jerky. It flowed. And, obviously, um, if you just go retired players, then it's an obvious number one there, right? Obviously, some other ones haven't retired yet, but I'm still going to put them on the list in my top 10, um, even though they haven't retired yet, right? So I got Jordan number one. I got Bryant number two, who's basically to me, Bryant was the heir apparent to Jordan, did most of his moves in a similar fashion, but also Bryant incorporated a lot of Hakeem Olajuwon's moves, footwork into his stuff. Right? Say if you know, as far as scorer, he was an elite scorer. Uh, he didn't win the defensive titles that Jordan did. That's what makes him number two, in my opinion. Like I say, he's got the championships, has the scoring, killer instinct, the whole 9 yards. Like I say, these other ones I didn't see play as a kid, but their body of work speaks for themselves. All right, so I had some internet connectivity issues there. But these next three, I personally did not see play. I've seen, videos of them on YouTube, stuff like that, but I personally did not see them play. And that's Kareem Abdul-Jabbar at 3, Byrd at 4, Magic Johnson at 5. Obviously, I saw Shaq play, so Shaq's at 6. I got Shaq at 6. He's the most dominant force ever. Obviously, when I was a kid, I thought I was going to be a center. Had no idea I would stop at 6'2", so. But that made Shaq was the person you looked up to if you were a center at the time. And then, even though these people haven't retired yet, I have them on the list, and that is LeBron at 7. Right, LeBron at 7 and Steph Curry at 8. Right. So they haven't finished yet their careers. Obviously, LeBron is basically up here because of longevity. Right. Him and Magic I consider to be almost equivalent. But LeBron has basically played for a lot longer, started in the NBA a lot younger. Steph Curry basically changed the game. The whole game is basically played because of how he plays now. The most dominant power forward of all time was Tim Duncan. So Duncan's up here. And like I said, I didn't see these, so that's number 9, Duncan at 9, which is kind of hard to believe. If you took out LeBron and Steph because they're still playing, then Duncan would be right there behind Shaq. And then I would have Russell with the most championships, most dominant defensive player ever, and Wilt Chamberlain, the most arguably the most dominant player ever in his time. It's just, he was just the biggest person of his time, So let me know what you guys think about who is the GOAT in the NBA of all time. Obviously, I'm on the side of, normally I would not be on the side of Skip Bayless, but he's not 9th. I don't have him 9th. But to me, LeBron is very similar to Magic. That's really the debate, is because LeBron has broken all these records now, because of longevity. But to me, he's never going to be considered up there with Jordan and Bryant, as far as I'm concerned, right? So keep that in mind. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. All right, so this episode is brought to you by London and the Googly Goo. Be sure to pick up London and the Googly Goo, available on Amazon, which is my wife's children's book. If you have nieces, nephews, or children of your own, check that out and click the link in the description if you want a PDF version for a little bit cheaper or something. All right, so we're all hearing that the Feds may possibly cut interest rates even more than expected, right? So let's talk about what would happen to the market if Fed cut interest rates to 4%, right? So, right now, interest rates are sitting in the 7s, 6s, and basically it's made where only the 2 or 3% of the nation can actually afford a regular starter home. Regular starter home in my area is around $400,000, and that interest rate, you're talking about a $3,500 a month payment. You're talking about having to bring home $7,000 a month, which is pretty substantial. If you start actually doing the math, right? So, so if you cut the interest rates to 4, you're going to be cutting your payment to under $2,000, right? Now you're going to start having to basically make $4,000 a month, right? Bring home pay, not gross pay, bring home pay. So you're going to be able to expand into who can afford housing. And then the biggest thing that a Fed rate cut would do is it would have investors start coming back into your communities, right? So, and also it may have the impact in the 80s when they did this. It made the price of housing increase, right? So it actually just kept the same trajectory. The housing kept going up. So keep that in mind. They say the job market is softening, and really, I think it's just jobs being replaced by AI, right? You know, you can have an answering service 24/7 now. You know, instead of having to pay for somebody, right? So that's AI. So keep that in mind. What do you guys think will happen if the Feds cut rates? All right. So I'm going to move on to life coaching today. Jared is 22 years old, has a good job, but constantly feels behind because of social media, right? All right, so this is basically a keeping up with the Joneses situation, right? So first we got to figure out what is Jared's goals, right? You know, if you are somebody shooting for the 1% lifestyle, you're going to be doing things different than everybody else. If you're shooting for, no, we're going to be comfortable, you know, and it's your choice, right? Most people choose the middle of the road because, you know, if you start at the bottom, you believe, okay, I can get to the middle. Or you're in the middle with your family's in the middle, so they're saying, okay, well, I want to do the same as my family. Very few people say, I want to own 1,000 paint stores or 1,000 workout places or you know, 1,000 McDonald's, whatever. Right? Very few people say that, right? It's different. So first you got to figure out what you want to do. And people are like, you know, oh, I'm using AI, I'm using crypto, all these other things. Well, yes, you can get lucky once, right? And, you know, a lot of people got lucky with something like Dogecoin or, you know, and then they are constantly just looking for the next thing, right? So you got to keep that in mind. But the feeling of behind, you have to put yourself back into reality, right? So most millionaires are in their 50s. Most people start their first business in their 50s, right? Because there's a big gap. You have to basically almost pay your dues, right? You have to learn and overcome things, right? So keep that in mind. This is what I would do for Jared. I put that in his affirmations. Most millionaires are 50, you know, that kind of thing. I'm going to be a millionaire. These are the things I need to do to be a millionaire, billionaire, whatever. Let me know what you guys would do for Jared here. Like I say, it's mindset, skill set, habits, right? So start with the mindset affirmations. We work on the skill set. If we want to be a millionaire, we work on the millionaire skill sets. And then we do the habits to become the millionaire, right? So let me know what you guys would do for Jared. All right. So the last thing we got the quote of the day. And it says the only way to deal with fear is to face it head on. Right? So there are very few things in my life that I've ever been afraid of, really. And anything I was afraid of, we went and did it anyway, right? So, you know, this has always basically worked for me, right? This has always worked for me because, you know, I'm basically always just going to face it head on, right? So, or just to deal with it, right? Let me know in the comments below what you guys might be afraid of. Are you afraid of starting your own business? Are you afraid of investing and losing money? What are you afraid of that you have to face head on, right? But basically, if you when you realize that it's really just your fear getting in your way, once you overcome that fear, it's like you're off to the races, right? So keep that in mind. I'm Nate, and I'm a life coach, right? So I help you with your mindset, your skill set, your habits, so that you can become successful the way you want to be, right? So if you're interested in that, click the description below, sign up for life coaching, shop at InstaCell.com, pick you up a cool inspirational t-shirt, and buy my wife's book, London and the Goo Goo Goo, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.